Hi, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we're going to try and fix this Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP. So this was sent over to me from Mike from 1UP Gaming, and he sent a job lot of various different things, and there's a little note in here, so let me read you what it says in the note. So it says here, motherboard not charging, so that's the main problem, even though it says a brand new battery. And it says the LCD, there's a very thin vertical row of dead pixels. Now I've already had a look at this and there certainly is. So when you plug in the charge thing there, nothing happens to the lights here. Also when you turn it on, there is about 4 or 5 very thin rows of dead pixels going up here. So there's lines basically going up the screen. It says the front light, plastic is scratched, and it says, sorry, I pinched a one from here for another system. And it said that is what's causing the shadows on the screen. So basically when you turn it on, there's scratches on the screen here, and sorry, the cover, and because the actual screen is probably about that much below it, it's causing like a shadow on the actual screen. So depending on the light, it can be a little off-putting. It says I have checked both the F1 and F2, they seem to be okay. Now when he says F1, F2, I presume he means L and R here. Now they are okay because I put a normal Game Boy game in here, and yes, you can make it go from like normal size to wider screen by hitting these buttons here, so they do appear to be okay. It says heated some bits, reflowed the charging port, and it says I give up, so obviously it hasn't worked. And then it says have popped in most of an NES shell. If you sort it, it will look ace in there. So it looks like it's all here apart from this front bit here, which is a shame because this is the scratch bit, but you can buy parts online quite easily. And it says here 2020 update, there are some lovely looking backlit screens, might be worth if you can fix. Now I know about the backlit screens because I watch Elliot from the Retro Future, so he does lots of Game Boy related content on his channel. If you haven't already checked him out, head over there and check him out. You can always say that Vince said hi. And yeah, he does a lot of mods and stuff to them, to all various different backlights and new screens and stuff like that to enhance the original Game Boy Advance SP. So yeah, I was messing around with this last night, and everything that it says here is right. There was one other thing as well. It's not going left properly, so it is registering, but you have to press it really, really hard. So I've just got a game here where you have to kind of control a sheepdog, and it's actually unplayable because you're moving around forward, right, and down, okay. But when you go to do the left, you have to just press it so hard. It's just not right. So let me plug it in and show you what's happening. But apart from that, it is actually fully working. So if I turn it on now, you will see that the game will load up. But watch this. So I had it on quite a while last night. This wasn't red last night, so it needs a charge now. But when I put the charge in, watch this. Let me just put the volume down. When I put the charge cable in, can you see it lights up for a second and then goes out? Every single time I put it in, just for 1 second, and then goes out. Now I've given it a wiggle, and can you see there, you think, oh yes, look, it's a bad contact, but it's not, because it's just every time it gets power, it just does it for a split second. So I wiggle it, it comes on there, and look, keep it held in the same position, and it goes out again. So it isn't, I don't think, a charge port problem. I think it's going to be something on the actual motherboard. Now can you see these lines going down the screen here? There. Can you see it through the E and also going through the dog here? I'll get a better light and show you later. And there is also a shadow cast there. But I think the main thing to worry about right now is the fact that it is not charging, because once this battery goes flat, then this won't turn on whatsoever. So let's strip this down and have a good look on the inside. Now I've never actually taken one of these apart before, so it's going to be quite interesting for me to see the inside of it. Right, so it looks like it's all tri-wing screws at the back. So I'm looking forward to trying to trace the fault. So I might not get too involved with having to clean up the screen, and I don't even know if anything can be done about the pixels going up and down the screen. But definitely I want to fix the charging problem. I want to try and fix the charging problem. So what I'm thinking initially is to check for continuity and stuff from the charge port in. Also maybe put charge in, see if we're getting anything on these battery contacts. In fact, we can do that right now, can't we? And then that will tell us. I mean, it's had a replacement battery, but if you weren't going to go out and buy a battery, you can see there's nothing happening. Thinking that, would it actually, yeah, it should still have voltage here, shouldn't it? Let's just quickly see if it has got voltage here. I wonder, can I measure it with the battery in place? No, probes are not going to be small enough. Let's just see if we've got anything here. So it says positive down the bottom. Right, so it's not registering anything there, is it? No, whether I'm on or off is exactly the same. So there's no charge getting into the battery, hence the reason why it's not charging. Right, is this going to pull off now? Yes, it is. Right, okay. So you can see it's very, very dirty. Right, so this is what we want to be looking at here. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take out the board completely, and then just work on that. Now, what do I have to do to take out the board completely? Is there any more screws here? Yes, there is. A couple of screws here. Right, these are normal crosshead screws. Now, so far it's lovely and easy to take apart anyway. Right, so we've got a little ribbon cable here, must be for the LCD. I'm just going to get rid of that by pulling out on these things. There we go. Excellent, now we don't have to worry about that just yet anyway. We will look at the screen later on. So this here is the speaker, which we know is working. So we want to concentrate on this board here now. I'm just going to put those back in. What's this thing here for? So this is just one of, oh, these are all the buttons here. So I have to look at why it's not pressing here properly. That could be a problem. I wonder, do these things pop off or are they soldered into the board? I'm just going to have a quick look under my eye loop. Right, it looks as if they've got like a slight thin bit of rubber going over them. So I don't think they're going to be easy. Don't think they're going to come off. I mean, it looks like you could possibly unsolder the little corners there and it may come off, but I've got a feeling you're just going to melt everything in the process. I think with this it'd probably be best just to try and clean it with IPA, unless it is a, I mean, there is a lot of dirt around the place, unless it's a, look at that, and it's a physical dirt problem that's not allowing it to be pushed down enough, because you can see there's a horrible gunk everywhere. Right, so what we want to do is, we've got the charge port here. So it looks like it's on the opposite side of the board. I can see a wire there. I'm going to have a close look here. I want to see where these pins go to and see if we can actually trace what's happening. So I've been looking from eye loop now. There's a few things that doesn't look right. There's like a fuse down here that looks burnt. There's a fuse on the other side that looks very burnt. There's a component here that's just barely hanging on. But if we look at the charger, can you see the one with the sort of bump up the top? It's only here and here. They're the only connections on it, yeah? So like positive and negative. So we now know that when we plug this into here, because remember it's the top two here, so it's basically going to be the top two pins here, the outer two pins that we're looking at. So that helps us. So the top pin here and the outer pin there, left and right. So now you see we can trace them on the board and see where they go to. So I think that's what we're going to do. Let's zoom in and I'll just show you the things that don't look quite right. So I'm presuming it's going to be this one here and this one here that I need to be working on, but I need to just clarify that with a tone. Now if I, to begin with, look at this fuse here. Can you see it looks a bit, doesn't look quite right, does it? It looks a bit burnt. If we flip the board over, this component here looks like it's just about hanging on. It says P31, which, oh no, here we go. This is here. Oh yeah, so look, EM4, EM5, so I don't know what EM stands for, but that one there looks like it's just about hanging on. So there's a possibility it's not making a contact with that pad there. I need to check that. One thing I'm a bit confused about is, look here, it says F10, but where is F10? So these ones, so it points to here, but these ones here are R53 and a capacitor 73, but CL1 and F10 just points to a wire as far as I can see. And then if we follow the wire on the other side, I think it's this one here, which then goes down to, well, I can't even properly see, but is anything? See, these are all labelled up with their own components, so I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure what is meant by that F10, I don't know. What else? Another fuse down here. Look, can you see? That all looks burnt as well. I mean, that doesn't look good. So I suppose let's, should we check the fuses to begin with and see if we've got anything. So let's just go to continuity. Right, okay, amazingly we do have something there. What else did I want to check? Now I don't know what EM is, but let's just check this for continuity. Yes. Okay, but that doesn't mean it's actually on the pads. I've got to find out where that goes to. Right, now where was the other fuse? Fuse up here. Yeah, okay. So I think what we need to do is we need to just verify the voltage. So let's plug this in and let's see what we have on our meter. Right, so we've got 5.3 volts there, 5.3 there, and then we go down to here, and this one goes to here. Yeah, 5.3, so we've got 5.3 there. So what I now need to do is I need to try to trace where this goes to, and then check for 5.3 volts again, and just you know, see where it goes into the circuit. So let's zoom right in again. Right, it really is a very hard board to trace. I'm slightly confused because it doesn't look to me as if it's a multi-layer board, but yet it just seems to go through to a wire and then not go anywhere else, so slightly confusing. But let me just tell you where I am so far. So I'm not going to be going from the battery back because I think that's just going to give me a false hope, because that's I need to go from the charging port because it's not charging. We know it's turning on. So we know that it's the pin here. Yeah. Now I can't see where this pin goes to, so I'm almost certain it comes through to the wire on this side here. And if you have a look, we have actually got a tiny little wire here that one goes to. So if I was to go onto the pin that we know it is, so it's going to be this pin, and there. Okay, so it goes to that little wire there. That wire goes through EM8, and then it comes out here and it goes through a wire here. That wire then goes to this side here, and I am completely lost as to where it goes from there. But look, if I go to here, we know it's coming up to this fuse here. Yeah. Now, this side of the fuse just goes through a, because remember, I don't know if it's coming up this side or this side. You would hope it's this side, but who knows? But this side here just goes through a wire there, and it comes up to a little test point here. So again, if I was to go on the test point here, and the this side off the thing, you can see that we got continuity, but that's no good. That just looks like a little test point for testing. So yeah, that doesn't look like it goes anything from there. So what I'm going to do now is, I don't know what else it goes through beforehand, but I'm going to start working from the fuse forward, because we definitely know that that is in contact with that one there. Yep. So I'm going to start working from here going forward. Now with this one, it goes to two wires here, and then from here it goes all the way down to, it looks like this area here. So it goes all the way down the side on this big fat trace, going right the way down into this area here. So I don't actually think this is a ground. Let's just see if it is or not. No, I think this is actually the 5 volt. So if I put my voltage back into it now, I'm thinking we should have 5 volts here when I go between here and ground. So let's have a look. So I think this one up here is the ground. There you go, 5.3. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tracing to see where this goes to. It looks like it goes into these two chips, so maybe it goes into the chips, but maybe it doesn't come out of the chips, and maybe that's what the problem is. So I'm going to zoom in now, and then I'm just going to talk you through the voltages. Right, so here we are. Remember this pad here that I just measured? So let's see what's happening here. So this looks like a little test point, maybe that goes to the, let's see if that's ground. Let me just go, I'm just going to kill the power a minute. Let's go to continuity, and let's see if that's a ground. No, it's not. Right, so it looks like voltage goes into the pin there. I wonder if that pin's connected to it. Is that connected to there? Yes, okay, so that's connected to there. Is that connected to any of the others? Yes. The middle one there. So we've got voltage going in here, and I wonder is that the output, or would that be the output there? Where does it go up to? Well, it looks like this one goes to this little resistor here, and then from there it goes on to, I presume this is a diode. Let's just quickly measure this diode, then I'll put voltage back into it. Right, so let's go across to diode. I really need to clean this board, there's a lot of flux all over it. Right, so 0.23 that way, swap the leads. And nothing, so it looks like the diode's okay. So I suppose we need to now go back to voltage, and we need to see what's happening on this chip here, because that looks like it's the first thing. As well as that, the voltage is then going into this big chip here. Let's start with the small one first of all. Right, so I'm just going to be using the ground up here. Now, so we've got 5.3 there on the big square one. Let's go onto that little test pad there. Well, we don't have anything there. So let's go on to the first pin here. This should also be 5.3. 5.3. Let's go on to the middle pin. Nothing. Let's go on to the outer pin. 5.3. So, have I just found my fault? Because look, we haven't got anything going into that resistor there, have we? So is this thing here the thing that's at fault? So we've got 5.3 there, 5.3 there, but we've got nothing at this little test pad here. Let me just go between here and here just in case. No, 5.3. 5. Why have we got 5.3 there? That's not in common with, that's not the ground, is it? Let me just go back to my meter. I'm just going to kill the power again. Well, we definitely know this is a ground up here. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go straight onto the port itself. No. Am I reading this right now? So they're not grounds. Why are we getting a reading between that and that if it's not ground? So we've got voltage here. I'm confused now. That is slightly confusing. So I should be getting a reading between here and here. Which I am. Ah, well I am getting a reading now when I do it like that. But that's not between ground, is it? Oh, that's really confusing for me. I know it's obvious to so many people out there, but it's not obvious to me. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take apart my one, because I've got a working one here. And I'm going to see what's happening on that chip there, because that doesn't look right to me. But if it is right, then I know I need to chase the fault further into it. Right. So luckily we have the same chip down here. So let's zoom in on this one and let's see if we're getting the same reading. At least then we know whether it's that or not. So you can see now this is definitely charging up. Oh, sorry, it's not charging up because the battery's not in it. Right, okay. I hope we don't have to have the battery connected for this to actually work. Right, let's have a look just to double check now. So I'm going to go between here and here. And I've got 5.3. So now let's go up to this resistor here. No, it's the same. So it's not that. Do you know what? I think this is going to beat me. I don't think I'm going to get to the bottom of this one. Do you have to have the battery connected in order to get the signal through? That's going to be a right pain. So I can put this down and keep pressure on it. Yep, I can. We've got 4.5 volts on that side of the resistor. Oh no, there you go, 4.7. So it looks like you have to have the battery connected. Yeah, 5.2. Yeah, 4.6 when the battery's connected. Right, that's going to be quite hard for me to fault find now, isn't it? Let's do the same on this one. Look, it's still not giving me anything. So it could be that chip, couldn't it? 5.3. The middle one, it's still not doing anything. Can you see? Right, let's put in the known working battery. I know this is a new battery, but let's just put in this one because 100% we know that this charges. Right, so let's just see if the light comes on for a second when we plug it in. Yeah. Then it goes out. Yeah, look, there's nothing happening. So it is different than the other one. I'm on that resistor now. Let's go straight onto the middle pin. No? And straight onto that test point there. No. Now, does that suggest that chip's faulty, or is it something else which is not drawing it through the chip? Do you know what I mean? That's the problem I've got. I could swap that chip out and it could still be the same because maybe there's something else not asking it to get, asking the battery not to get the power if it's further along this way. Where to take this. I suppose I could try and take this chip off here, swap the chips over, but I'm not 100% sure it definitely is that. Maybe, for example, it could be the chip next to it, which is not telling this to charge, you know? I think I'm going to swap the chip over to begin with. I'm going to swap that over and see what happens. And just in case I burn all the markings off when I take it off, I just want to get a reading. So it says H19R, and this one is 2253B 2Y04. This one's harder to read because it's got a lot of flux on it. Let me clean this one up. It's very hard to read anyway, but it says HR, it's got 17 in the middle. This one here says 437. It's got that symbol there, which I hopefully will be able to recognise. It says 158, but then the other two things are gone off. 158 something A, maybe? 1A, possibly? Not too sure. Right, let's take it off anyway. I'm going to add some flux to it. There's nothing in that area there that's going to burn, so I should be okay. The hot air is set to 380 degrees Celsius, and we've got 5 out of 8 airflow. Right, they come off lovely and easy. So now I'm going to take it off the good board. Okay, and now I'm going to put the bad one on this board here. I'm going to put the good one on this board here. And I'm just going to closely inspect those joints. Both look okay, I won't bother cleaning it up yet. So now let's get the battery and the voltage back in it, and let's see if it's reading anything different now. So this is the faulty one here. Ah, it's gone out again. It's gone out again, so it's not that. 5.2, little pad next to it. Nothing. Right, so it's not that. Let's just see now on this board here if it's still working fine. Yeah, orange light stays on. Yeah, 4.7. So it's not that little thing, whatever it is. I'm kind of running out of ideas, and this is the chip next to it. I don't really know how to fault find it anymore, unless what I do is just see what differences I can see between the boards. Maybe that's the best thing to do, but that's going to take ages. Basically, there's no short on here, so there's no short between the... You see on the bad board, if I go to continuity, there's no short between the live and the neutral. So when it comes to the charging, I can't just kind of put power in it expecting it for something to get hot or to burn out. It looks like whatever it is not going through. It looks like there's an open line somewhere. While I had the hot air out, I also straightened up that little whatever it is, P33, that was wobbly. Unfortunately, it's made no difference whatsoever. I'm really starting to struggle. I'm thinking I should be able to find out what's wrong with it. It's just a charging circuit, but this moment in time is just completely baffling me. So I'm just going to keep comparing, keep trying to measure voltages, and I'm hoping it will become clear. Right, it's been about 20 minutes later and I'm still losing. So what I've done, which is good, is I've put the battery and stuff back in here. At least when I'm testing this side of the board, it's really easy for me to test now. Now the only thing I've found is this little chip next to the one that I changed over. It's got two of the top pins, so we already know that 5.3 volts is going to be going into it via the bottom here, because this is the trace that goes into it at the bottom. But there's two little traces that go from the two middle pins up to this diode here. Now on the good board they're measuring whatever it is, 4.6 and 4.3, but on this one they're measuring nothing. So here goes, I've got flux on both of them and I'm just going to do it in one hit. So I'm going to take it off, put it on there, and I'm going to swap them both over again, and then we'll know, because if it's not faulty then at least I don't have to swap them back. I'm going to let them cool down and then I'm going to have a look through my eye loop, make sure that the pins are all connected. Let's just pop them back in. I've cleaned this one up with a little bit of IPA, but I haven't cleaned this one because I'm going to have to do more work on it. Well, we might as well do this one first, see if it does anything. Excellent, it's gone out. Excellent, it's gone out. Right, okay, that's good. Might be that chip then. Let's see now if this one does anything. Come on, come on, come on. All eyes on the orange light. Oh no, that's not good. That's gone out as well. Now, have I broken both of them? Or is it just that my battery? Is it just that this battery is charged? Let's swap the batteries over. Oh, I've got my hopes up there. Uh-oh. That's not good. I didn't have that particularly hot to burn that chip. Just going to double check all the connections. Well, I've well and truly mucked that up, haven't I? So the chip looks fine. All the pins are connected. I've given each of a wobble. So now basically we have, it doesn't matter what battery we have in which one, we have nothing in either of them. So now on this one here, you see it charges and goes out, and charges and go out. And if we go across the diode here, if I go between here, let's go between here and here, can you see nothing? Nothing. And if we go on the good board, we We have, can you see it jumping around? Look, 4.5, 3.2, 3, so it's always, look, 4.5, oh there we go, 4.5. No, see, but it is jumping, and I'm keeping constant pressure on here, I think. Strange. This side of the diode, haven't got anything. Ooh, right, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the chips back, just to see if that changes anything. See, maybe that chip is faulty. Look, I might have burnt it when I changed them out, but I didn't have it on particularly hot. But maybe that chip is faulty, and that's why this is now not working on the good board. Maybe there's something else as well as the chip that's faulty. Maybe a couple of things have gone. But right now, again, I think it's the chip. So I'm going to swap them back over and see if my one starts working. See what happens now. Here goes. No. Oh, I can't believe it. It's basically, I've broken my one now, haven't I? I still don't really know if it's that chip or not. Unbelievable. Would the chip burn that easy? What was it, 380 degrees Celsius for how long? The first time round it wasn't very long at all, was it? 30 seconds? 20 seconds? Not even that. Oh, I'm really disappointed because not only did I not find the problem here, I've now broken my one. Good news is at least I think I know what's wrong with my one. Somehow this fuse has blown here, which is weird because the only thing I've worked on is over here on this board. But if you watch this now, so if I just short the fuse out with my tweezers, and now watch, if I plug it in now, you can see that the light comes on here. Yeah, don't know if you can see that actually, there you go. And now watch, if I turn it on, can you see the red green light comes on above it? There. So yeah, it looks like I will be able to get mine working. I have to change the fuse. But now you see, I don't know if it's still this chip. I'm kind of back to square one again because this chip didn't work in here because the fuse blew. Did the fuse blow because this chip is somehow shorting it out? I don't know. Well, I've been filming for a long time on this one now, so I think I'm going to do a bit more testing off camera. I might swap the fuse, might swap these chips over, just to see. A lot of it's for my peace of mind now. Even if I do break my one, fully break my one, it's not the end of the world. You can buy these boards relatively cheaply. God, it's a really confusing one. Anyway, look, I'm not giving up. I'm going to get back to this later on. Even if I end up destroying both of them beyond repair, I want to take this a little bit further. I don't want to let this beat me. Well, it's only been about 5 minutes later, but look, this is interesting. I was just taking the bad chip off the bad board to put back onto the good board to see what would happen. And look what it says under here. It does say, look, U5 charge IC. So that is the charging chip, isn't it? Excellent. Right, I don't feel such an idiot now for taking it off. Brilliant. I'm really happy with that. So the bad chip is now in here. So let's short the fuse because we know the fuse is gone. Let's see if it turns on. Yes, it does. Look, red light. Right, okay, I'm just going to swap the battery over. See if, because this has more charging, see if it comes up with an amber light. Hit green light. Okay, so now let's short this and see if it plugs in. 1 second, I haven't got it plugged in. Right, here goes. Short that, plug it in. Orange light constant, so it's not the charge chip. Alright, okay, that's good. Yeah, green and orange light. Right, so somehow I managed to burn out the fuse here. Not too sure how that happens. But this is the faulty charge chip on here. So it means this is faulty not because of the charge chip. So there's something else that's causing it. That's a little bit of progress, and we also know that that is now the charge IC. Oh, I think I might have got somewhere now. I don't want to get my hopes up. Do you remember I said that there was 2 traces going up to this diode here? Well, one of them is not making a contact. Let me get you close in. Right, so you can see leads on continuity. Look, this one here goes to this little pin here. Remember, this chip is removed. Yeah, that's fine. But now look, this one here is not going to here. Look, and I'm pressing down hard, and I'm pressing down hard. Yeah. So that could make sense why we've got no voltage around this area. Now look at this chip here. This one here. Now, I hope this isn't just because the chip is in and it's somehow going through the chip and back out up here. But look, this one here to there, and this one here to here. So surely, whether the chip's on or not, if there's a trace there, it has to be connecting. The weird thing is, if you look here, I can't see anything wrong whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? I can't see any break in that wire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I mean, I could just put a wire from here to here, but I want to see, I physically want to see the damage because I've spent so long on this. So I'm just going to take off this little diode here, and then let's have a look underneath. I'm just going to make a note of which way the line is. So the line is right, so the line's on the right hand side, yeah? Well, that's the hardest break to see that I've ever seen, but I think where it's broken is just here, just as it's going across here. Yeah, there. Have a look now. This is the bad board here. Red lead to the left. Look at my meter, 2.4, 0.24. Red lead here, 0.23. Black lead on this side should be open. Yeah, and black lead this side open. And if I go to continuity, you can see that I now have continuity between that part of the diode and here, and also if I actually go to the wires next to it, I've got continuity, and if I go to the next one and here, I've got continuity. So now, please, this has to work now. Here we go. Pop the battery in, and there it's on. Let's whoops, hold on. Right, it's off. Now let's see if it's going to charge. Come on now. Oh, I don't believe it. What? Why? Why are you doing this to me? Honestly, this is painful. Look, still not doing it. What on ice? Do you know what? I don't know. I don't think I can do any more on it. Oh, unbelievable. And it's definitely not wiggling it here. The reason it goes on and off when I wiggle it here is because it's just the same as it connecting and not connecting. Yeah. Every time you plug it in, you get an orange light. Oh, right. Don't know what else to do. I mean, I have to swap one of the fuses from here onto here, so I have a nice working one at least. I've spent so long on it, I don't just want to give up because I've put hours and hours and hours into it. I hate it now when I don't know what it is, more than the fact of wanting this working. I just want to know what's causing it. You know, when you put so much time into something. Been on this at least half a day. Right, okay, I'll keep looking at it. Update, so I've taken the fuse off the Nintendo Switch, which is this one here. Now this is a lot smaller than the one that came off the... It's a lot smaller than the one that came off the actual Game Boy Advance, which you would expect. But yeah, I just had to fill it out with a little bit of solder on one side so you can see it's there. And now look, you can see this has come back to life again. So it looks like this is going to be working okay. And just to prove it's not the lights themselves, if you have a look. I've got it on diode test. There you go, it's orange, red, and green. So the lights are definitely working. Okay, so I've changed another chip, and that's this one here. And when I took this one off, it actually said Power IC underneath it. So yeah, that could be hopeful. Right, here goes. Let's see if they turn on still. Yes, and yes. And now let's plug the charger in. No, it's going out, so it's not the Power IC. This is working fine, so it's definitely not that chip. I'm running out of options now. Just to let you know my thinking now, I'm still nowhere nearer to fixing it, but beforehand I was tracing the wires going over here that were going up to the light. But if you think about that, they're tiny little traces, so surely the thing that charges up the battery would have to be a thicker trace. So if we go back to this diode again, on the side of this diode there's two wires. And if we go through the two wires, it brings us onto this massive thick trace here. And then it goes all the way along here, up here, and then it disappears under here. So I need to find out where it goes to now after this. And that might be my answer. It's definitely not going up to the battery terminal here. I can't hear it coming up on this device here, or the power switch. But that might be the answer. Spent so long on this now that drastic times call for drastic measures. So every time I try to trace something, a lot of the traces were blocked by this big lump of plastic. So this is the card reader here. So what I've done is I've actually taken this off. It took quite a lot of heat and also desoldering and stuff along the way, but I've managed to get it off. Now the reason I took it off is because I unsoldered these two bits here, and I was trying to trace where they were going, and I seen there was a lot of corrosion here. So look at this. So I think water's possibly gotten up here and it's sat here. But the thing is, when I've taken it off completely now, I've noticed that it's not actually that bad. Like, these must be the power ones because they're massive. But look, it's not that bad. But what I'm wondering is, there is a tiny little trace here. Perhaps that has to sense something. And maybe if that's broken, it doesn't allow power through the big ones or something. So I'm going to clean all this up and see what we're left with. Now that is really disappointing. Look, it's cleaned up absolutely lovely. But still, now I'll have a better chance of measuring the traces from here and then see exactly where they go to. Hallelujah, I think I found something. So I've just started recording now and I only found it a minute ago, but I can understand now why it was so hard to find. So watch this now. This is the good board here, and you know I was just trying to trace the tracks everywhere. Well look, remember there was damage on this one here. That's the reason I took off this card reader. Well, look on the good one. If I go onto this wire here, there's two wires together which basically go from the chip on the other side. So what happens is it comes out of the chip up here, it goes into the diode here, over to these two, which brings us out to here. Now watch, if I go between here, it goes right the way up to the positive terminal on the battery. Both wires do, yeah? Now watch on this one here. I'm on the same two wires, and look, it's not coming up on the positive, which makes complete sense. But the reason it was throwing me so much is because watch how sneaky this is. So basically, this goes up to the two wires here, and watch this. There you go. Can you see? I've got continuity there, but it's a little bit hit and miss there. So that's what I was doing earlier. Now check this out. When I go between here and here, or is it this one there? Okay, so basically I've got continuity there, but the problem I've got is one's coming up on one wire, but it's not coming up on the other wire, so I've got wire damage here. Unbelievable. That's why it took me so long to find. If it was just completely gone, then it wouldn't have registered, but what's happening is I am getting a connection, but it's not a good connection. So one's going to one wire and one's going to the other wire, but these two wires are not going to each other. So watch this. When I go here, can you see they're not going to each other? Look. Okay, there, look. See? They're not going to each other. So that is what was causing me the massive headache. So now I am hopeful. This is the most hopeful I have been since I discovered the wire missing from the diode down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape this back around here, and I'm going to try to see how much wire we've got left. I might have to physically run a wire from here right the way down to here. So I think what I'm going to do is I've scraped back the wires and I've got a tiny bit of wire here. I think I'm going to bend this into a U shape because we've got two wires very close to each other, and I'm going to put it through, so we're going to have the joined side this side and then the two separate strands coming up this side, and I'm just going to solder it all together. You can see that I've scraped back the wires there and I've scraped back the wires here, so obviously they're not making a good contact through the board to each other. So by doing this, hopefully then they'll make a good contact. Now I've had a good close look at this board from the side. I'm pretty certain this is not, I think it's just top and bottom. I cannot see any layers in the middle, so I don't think these wires are going to anywhere else on the board, which is good. Because obviously if this was on something like the Nintendo Switch, I wouldn't be able to fix the wires if it was just going to a middle layer. Right, so you can see now that I've got two wires sticking out this side, and now I'm just going to solder it all together, and that should then, there you go, see there, sticking out there and across here. Right, let's do the top side first. Right, my iron's up to temperature. I've got some flux down on it. That's that side done. Let's turn it over now and do the other side. Let me just cut off the excess there. Well, I'm just going to give that a quick clean and see if it's stuck at all. Well, I think that would have made contact with there. Let's check out this side. And again, I think that's made contact there. I'm just going to check this little wire next to it, this tiny little one. This tiny little track here, make sure this is still okay. Excellent. Right, moment of truth. Surely now this has to do what it needs to do. So we're going from here. Oh yes, there we go. Excellent. There we go. So now that's going to be going from the diode right the way up to there. Oh, okay, I still need to put this and everything back in. Let's see now if it's going to work. Let's put the original battery that came with it in. Right, so red light's on, which is good. Here we go. Now, let's see what's going to happen. It's there. Oh yes! Thank God. I haven't even got the energy to unleash a mighty yes, because I'm just so worn out. Oh, relief is what I've got here. Pure and utter relief. In fact, the relief is so strong, I have to turn off the lights so you can see it in all its orange glory. There you go, look at it. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, fantastic. Oh, you don't know how long it's taken me. It's now 20 past 11. I started this, I don't know, I think it was 3 o'clock. Okay, I have had a break. I've watched 1 hour of TV and I've had my dinner. But I've been on this all day long. So that really threw me. And what threw me was the way the wire was behaving, because I was checking for continuity and there was continuity, and there was 2 wires on the same massive plane, you know, on the same massive track. It's just that when I was checking, you sort of check and you see a hole, another hole. I was just on this side of the board checking here. I didn't think that one would be going to one wire and then the other one would be going to a different wire, but the wires weren't going to each other. Unbelievable. Wow. So could I have fixed that now without doing all the chips? Yes, I could have. Saying that, that wire wasn't on that diode. Now, I don't know if that was me or not. It's highly unlikely that there would have been 2 faults. But remember, I'm not the first one in here. But I think with all my messing, I probably scraped that. You know, when I was trying to heat it up and stuff. Maybe I grabbed with my tweezers when it was really hot, because it's a very thin trace and these are very sharp. So I think that was probably me there. So that kind of threw me to begin with, but no, it was the wires. And I think if I did it all over again, I think that would catch me out all over again, because the thing is, again, when there's 2 or 3 wires next to each other, you don't think to check every one. You just think that they're on the same plane, so you think it's going to be okay. You know, that they're on the same massive main voltage rail. So if there's 3 holes and you test one of them, you presume that the others are going to be okay. What a weird fault. But anyway, look, I've got the orange light there now, so this is going to be charging. Now that is fantastic. So what I need to do is I need to solder this back on now. I've got most of the Nintendo Entertainment shell. It's just that I haven't got the front one here. So I might get some spray paint, try to sand this back and spray this up. I might even have some spray paint, but it's probably unlikely to be the same colour. Anyway, let me try to solder this back on, and I'm going to put this back together just to, you know, just so we have a working, charging Game Boy Advance SP at the end of it. So this is the board all nice and clean. I've cleaned the whole thing with IPA and it's looking pretty nice now. Also, I've cleaned up the fuses as well because they all looked a bit mangled. So yeah, when you look at this board now, it does actually look quite nice. Obviously, there's a slight bit of a repair there. You wouldn't even notice the other repair going on, and it's hidden this side anyway. So I've put this back on now. It went on nice and easy because they're quite far apart from each other. So that feels nice and strong now. When you put the game in there, it feels good. So that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. So I've cleaned up IPA. I've put dripped IPA into all the switches and stuff like that. Cleaned up these bits here. So let me just go through the chips, because this is, I know more about this than I did earlier on. So this 100% now is the charge IC, this little chip down here. This chip here is the power IC, and this chip underneath it says AGB amp. So this must be the amplifier for the audio. So maybe if you want to do a headphone mod, you could take it out of here. So yeah, that is it now. Let's put this one fully back together. Right, I'm deciding to put it into the NES case, the Nintendo Entertainment System case. Now remember, there's pixelated lines going down the screen. So what I'm going to do is, you can see the foam's been taken away from this part, probably to try and repair the pixelated lines. I'm going to apply just a little bit of pressure on here. So I'm going to get some foam pads and just put them along here, and then hopefully that will put the ribbon cable, put more pressure against the ribbon cable and the screen, which may get rid of it. It's worth a try. Just use some double-sided sticky foam tape. It's just from the pound shop, really cheap stuff. But I've put it on there now. Hopefully, if the back still fits on, that might just apply a little bit more pressure onto those contacts. Look at this, putting these end caps on is quite therapeutic onto this hinge, because look, you put them on, you slide them on from the back, because there's a little cutout there. So you slide them on from there like that, and then watch this, put a bit of pressure on, watch, 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 watch. Ah, look at that. That's nice. Alright, so that's that part all done. What I've done is I've flooded that left switch with IPA. So hopefully now that might make a better contact. So it's the next day now, and I've fully charged them up until the lights have gone out. So 100% the charge circuit of this one is now working fine. This one is working perfectly again, just like it always was. It's just that when I started messing around with it, I somehow blew the fuse, which was slightly confusing, but you can see it working up here fine. Volume and everything is fine. Yeah, so luckily my one is still working fine. Now check this one out here. If I plug this in, you can see that the orange light will come on. There you go. Now I'm going to unplug it because that's going to go out in a few minutes anyway, because the battery is so full. But good news is that the D-pad is now fine. So if you look at the little dog up here, you can see up, down, right, left. But look how responsive it is. Yeah, so that's all fine. Bad news is that this is completely scratched up still. I got a blade to it just to make it a little bit smoother, because there was a lot of jagged bits on it. So it feels nicer now, but it still looks a mess. That can be spray painted, that's not such a big deal. But unfortunately, I can't get rid of those lines down the screen. I've had a look at the screen connector and stuff, and it doesn't look like I can run a soldering iron across it. It's not like the old Game Boy one. It reminds me more of the Game Gear one, so I don't think that's fixable, but I haven't looked on Google yet. So I'm not going to be doing a revisit on this, because I think it needs a new screen and a new front bit here, which doesn't really warrant, it's not really a fix, is it? It's just a replacement, so it doesn't warrant a video. But saying that, it is working fine. So volume works and all the buttons and everything work. I had to swap back to the original buttons here, because with the NES ones, they didn't seem very responsive. So I'm wondering if the moulding was slightly different, because remember, this is like a third-party product. It's not a Nintendo product, the actual shell. Also, it's missing the tiny little nut. There's a little square nut that goes on the inside that this screws into. Well, that's missing, so I can't actually screw the battery compartment in. It's just held in with a bit of tape. But apart from those issues, it is working well, and it looks much nicer now. So if you look at that now, that does look good. And even with the lines on the screen, they're annoying, but you can still fully see the game. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like there's 6 of them. But annoyingly, look, it doesn't matter what pressure I add to this, they do not disappear. So yeah, that's it with the light off and the light on. Light off will only work when there's a really bright light above it. And even now, you can see in certain lights like this, it can be hard to see this screen. So it's not the best screen. I believe the slightly later model of this was backlit, while this is front lit, and the backlit one is much, much brighter. But they cost a lot more money. But like Mike said, there's plenty of mods you can do, plenty of different screens and stuff you can buy. So who knows, in the future I might look into something like that. But yeah, I'm well happy with that charge port there. So I'm glad I persevered with it, because if I had given up, I would have always thought what was wrong with it. So yeah, it did take a long time, but I got there in the end. And as it turns out, I didn't need to change any of the chips or anything. It was a trace, but I didn't know that. Good news is though, I now fully understand the charging circuit much more on here. So if I was to get another one, I think I'll be able to fault find it quite quick. So I enjoyed this video, even though it took a long time for me to get there. So big thumbs up to Mike for sending it out to me. So I've got plenty more items to fix, so I will be hopefully releasing more and more videos over the coming days and weeks. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Look after yourselves. See you soon.